Hi guys, welcome to the Shrewsbury Biscuit podcast. I'm your host, Alex Whiteley, and joining me today is Pippa Lobban from the Shrewsbury Food Hub. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you for having me, Alex. It's a pleasure.
We planned this a few weeks ago because obviously this is the golden quarter. I said, you can call it the golden quarter this year. Can we even call it that? I don't know if we're allowed to.
I think it will be. We can spread cheer, can't we? Definitely. Socially distanced cheer.
So very good. I mean, there's a lot of that going on about that. You know, the decorate your doorstep thing that my Shrewsbury doing, and the carols on the doorstep. Lots of really innovative ways for people to show their cheer and what their this year is all about. Now, obviously, food hubs, food banks, and things like this. I think they're a fairly new thing, aren't they? Food banks. I mean, it was like about 4 or 5 years ago, wasn't it, when they became like a big thing?
I'm not so sure about that, but I want to talk to begin with the difference between a food bank and a food hub. Do you know, Alex?
No. Okay. So a food bank is possibly an outlet for where the food goes to. I imagine a food hub is the distribution of it all. Is that right? I don't know. That's a guess.
You're close. So the food bank operates, so they get donations of new food. I think they get a bit of funding as well to buy food, and they support people who are in a financial crisis. So if you find yourself in a situation when you can't afford food, they'll support you with food parcels until you're back on your feet, and they'll also give you lots of like debt advice and job interview advice as well. That's what our food bank do in Shrewsbury. Whereas the food hub in Shrewsbury, we're all about stopping food waste. So we collect leftover food from supermarkets and other businesses 7 days a week, and we redistribute it to our partner groups. So before the pandemic, we were catering for 62 partner groups, and that includes places like schools. We give fresh food to the food bank as well to supplement their tinned food, so things like bread and fruit and veg. And we also host these things called food shares, and they're open to everyone. And the idea is to stop food from going to waste. And that's our principal aim. And a lot of opportunity can arise from distributing food surplus. So it can be supporting like breakfast clubs at schools and support charities who have got a limited food budget, and just to make it stretch a bit further. So I just thought I'd get that off at the top of the podcast, because we often get confused with the food bank, of course, because our names are so similar.
Yes, of course. I made a point of writing food hub rather than food bank because I thought there might have been a little bit of a difference, because otherwise you'd be called a food bank, wouldn't you? Not a food hub.
Exactly.
Both doing extraordinary work. I mean, the food banks and food hub, obviously, because I mean, even before the pandemic, times have been trying for a lot of people, right? Starting from the recession onwards, people have not really. So some people haven't recovered, have they? It's been difficult.
No, exactly. And we always say we're all about reducing food waste, but if it can plug a hole in someone's budget, then all the better, if it makes their pennies stretch further with the food. And we've also been working, particularly through the pandemic, with other organisations to make sure people are signposted, because a lot of people come to the food shares and they're in tricky situations, and we can signpost them to the food bank if they're eligible for that. And there's a really good website called the Shropshire Larder, which my colleague Fran and Emily work on, and that's got lots of advice about how to eat on a limited budget and where you can get support in Shropshire, and that's kept up to date all the time. So
I've been seeing lots of these things. You see a larder, there was a cupboard that was put, I don't know if it was in Telford actually. People would just put food in the cupboard and you can just sort of go past and help yourself.
Yeah, it's so nice. There's all sorts of things going on around the country. So there's things like community fridges. We've got one at Riversway Elim Church. So some of our volunteers, they collect from Greg's, and they were collecting from Pret, but unfortunately it's closed, each evening, all their leftover food, taking it to the community fridge at Riversway Church, and then people can come and help themselves. And it's amazing food. Like, you see the sandwiches that are in Pret, and you can go and you can stop them going to waste and also have them for your lunch and stretch your budget. So win-win, really.
I've seen it for my own eyes, the amount of food that goes to waste from supermarkets, because I'm a support worker, but I used to work with Share, and Share used to do a lot of that. They used to go around and, especially with the outreach work that they did. Paul, I forgot his name. surname Paul. There's the guy that used to go around and collect food and just give it out to the homeless people, places that need it. And my place where I work was one of those places. He'd drop off food, and Christmas was just unbelievable. I mean, the kids would get into the lounge and they'd all get together, and they'd just be trays and trays of like mince pies and nice, good vegetables, cakes.
Yeah.
Greggs are amazing. Greggs are just unbelievable for what they do, because a lot of the stuff that they can't sell is still really, really good. And there would be days when I would be like, there was time when I was really skinny and training and trying to eat well, and they'd bring in this tray of like Belgian buns and donuts and all this stuff, and I'd be like, why would you do this to me? But yeah, you're right, the food is just still really good. Yeah.
Oh, it's so hard, honestly, every morning. So our volunteers go out at the crack of dawn. So at this time of year, they're going out in the dark, having to defrost their cars at 6:30 in the morning to go out and collect the food from the supermarkets and bring it back to our depot. And for example, like the Lidl bakery stuff, we've always have piles of their pastries there in the morning, and they're so tempting looking at all of them. But yeah, we make sure they get into good use. They go out to places like the Ark, and they used to go out to coffee mornings when they could happen. And, you know, it just perks someone's day up, doesn't it? It's really nice.
It is. It's really nice. And if you've never had a yum yum from Lidl, then you're missing out, because they're
exactly.
Exquisite. So when did I mean, I'm going to throw dates and things at you now, so put you on the spot a little bit. When did Shrewsbury Food Hub sort of begin? When did it start up?
So it started in 2016. My colleagues Ali and Katie, they had a background in waste reduction. And they were approached by Shrewsbury Ark, the homelessness support charity, to say that the Ark had been approached by the supermarkets to collect their surplus food, because the supermarkets obviously have targets to get their waste down, and they don't want the food to go to waste. They see it come in every day. It's valuable stuff. But they need a mechanism to get it out. And the way they do that is donating it to charities. But what the Ark was saying, that they couldn't cope with the amount of food they were getting, and you'd need a lot of volunteer capacity to go and collect it and make sure it's safe and to use by their clients. So they approached Katie and Ali, and then Katie and Ali called around a few other charities, and they're experiencing a similar thing with the supermarkets. So they thought what they need is someone in between who collects the food and can make sure it's safe, and then distribute it out to lots of different charities and share all that wonderful surplus across the town. So they started up around the back of M&S at Meal. And they were just sorting a few trays, maybe about 10 trays each morning, on the floor. Sometimes you had to have someone holding an umbrella when it was raining. And then distributing out to maybe like 4 or 5 different charities across the town, and they'd use it up. And it was as simple as that. And over the past 4 years, it's just grown and grown. And now we collect from I think 20 supermarkets 7 days a week. And we've got about 100 volunteers that help us do that. And we've also extended our reach to collecting frozen food as well, and chilled food. We've got specially trained teams to make sure that's safe and it can get out to our community. So now we can supply things like meat and fish, which of course is really high value products and really nutritious for our partner groups.
I guess like meat and fish is one of those things that you really do need to sort of look at, though, to make sure that it is okay. Because obviously, you don't want to make someone poorly, do you, really? I mean,
exactly. Do you know your difference between your best before and your use by date, Alex?
Your use by date is something you're supposed to use it by. Best before is when you're supposed to sell it by. Is that right?
Yeah, you're nearly there. So yeah, best before, we always say, is a quality date. Yeah. So it's at its best on its best before its best before date. Yeah. But you can still use it safely after. So for example, a loaf of bread, you can use it 3 days after its best before date, and it's still fine. You can put it in your toaster, you can make bread and butter pudding, whereas the use by date, because it needs to be kept at the right temperature, it's normally kept in the fridge, things like milk and cheese and things like that. That is a safety date. So yeah, you have to use it up before then, or freeze it, or cook it. So what we do is we get some of our stores to freeze the food before its use by date, and then our trained volunteers go with insulated boxes, go and collect it, make sure it's safe, record all the temperatures, and get it out to where it needs to be, in tummies rather than bins.
Nice. I love the positivity. I love that. I really do. I mean, I used to be really fussy with like use by dates and things like that. But like, if there's a yogurt or something in the fridge and it's a day over, I'd be like, oh, it's fine. I'm not going to die. It's all right. It's fine. I'll get a bit better now. So things have grown then since 2016. Things have grown exponentially then with what you guys do. What I mean, obviously there are we're going to get into politics, but there are obviously contributing factors to why things have grown. But do you think it's more like that people are just more aware of you now and what you do?
I think so. We've had opportunity to get funding and things like that. We've been funded by the Waste Resources Action Plan, which is like a government thing, to get more food from suppliers. And yeah, so I've got a few figures I've written down here. So
Yes.
last year, so April last year till March this year, we rescued 82 tons of food. And if you think that in equivalent of money, it's £3,118 worth of food that our lovely volunteers rescued, and it saves 120 tons of carbon. So it's got a really big environmental impact. And of course, all of the stores want to get their waste figures down because it's not helping our planet to waste stuff. So yeah, this year within 6 months of this year, we've rescued 61 tons of food. So we're on track to rescue more than we did last year.
Great.
So yeah, it's growing and growing. And yeah, popularity, the awareness of what we're doing is growing. And for a lot of people, it just makes sense. Like, no one likes wasting food. They know how precious it is. And if it can support the community, then all the better.
Have you ever turned anybody's head? So like, you get someone that's like, oh, no. Oh, I couldn't possibly. And then they look at what you guys actually do distribute and they're like, actually, I've learned my lesson now. This is actually a really good thing.
Yeah, sometimes people are a bit suspicious of what we do. They think we're going bin diving or, something like that. But you should see all the safety factors that our volunteers have to hit. They're really well trained in sorting out things that are unsafe. And yeah, when you see what good quality food there is there, you just think, well, why not make it use? It's really good.
I like that. I love what you guys are doing because, like you said, it's something wholeheartedly good. I think because you said there's an impact on the environment. You're making sure that people are fed. I mean, have you had people try and point fingers at you and try? Because, like you said, people are skeptical about everything. I mean, you can do something really positive, and someone will find something to complain about. Have people tried with you where you've actually had to try and defend yourself? I can't imagine there has been.
Not as far as I know. We get quite a lot of positive feedback. Yeah, I don't know. It does seem to hit a lot of chords with people. And I think it's not just stopping the food going to waste that's a good thing. I think it's also the connections within the community that it builds. So I think Shrewsbury's been quite resilient because we've already had this big network of groups and people who know each other that can help each other out. And particularly this year, of course, it's been really worthwhile having those contacts. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm looking at the moment. I wanted to talk to you about something that I'm working on. And that's with my I do another show called USUK, USUK. It's a bit of fun, but it's also about connecting people across the world. Right, so we have hosts in Vermont, in California, over here in the UK. We've got Cheltenham, Devon, Birmingham. So we've got all these people. That's just the hosts, and we've got listeners literally in Australia, America, UK, Russia. Well, you know how podcasts work.
Oh, fantastic. Amazing.
Right, so we wanted to do this thing called hashtag #USUCCares, right? So it was Tom Bruno's idea, my co-host, and he wanted to just go out into the community, get a picture of us doing something great, put hashtag #USUCCares. What can you do? Can you do better? And try and encourage our listeners to go out and do that sort of thing. And then we could probably give out a few T-shirts and things to people that really try, you know? But like, I've been thinking a lot about it, and like, I'm one of these guys that I worry and about the stupidest little things, and I worry about virtue signaling because it must be a terrible thing. Like, I'm not a big fan of these guys that are like, here I am recording myself giving a homeless person a meal. Look at this! I'm going to get loads of likes on Facebook. Like, I'm not a big fan of that, but at the same time, we're not doing it for that. Really, we're doing it to raise awareness, and I don't want to get caught up in that. You know, what do you think about that?
I think it's difficult. I think. Doing something good is always going to be good, isn't it? And I suppose if it's genuinely good and you're genuinely doing that with your time anyway, then to use your platform to help to encourage others to do it, then I don't think that is a bad thing. I think if it's shallow and you're just doing it for a photo opportunity, then, you know, we've seen a lot of politicians and people doing that kind of thing, you know. So I think if you generally do it, say you wake up every Monday and you do your volunteer shift and then you just happen to podcast about it, then I think that's great. You're using that platform and people think, oh, I want to get involved in that too. So I don't think it's a bad thing.
I work with so many charities with the Biscuit, and I think my job in what we do at the Biscuit is to sort of raise awareness, talk to people about what charities do. It's helped so much, and I'm really proud of that. But I've never actually physically gone out there and spent a day at the food hub, or been to the Ark and had a good walk around. And I do want to do some of that, and I would like to document it. I think I spoke to you about possibly come spend a day with you and recording like a vlog of my work. Obviously, if I'm there, I'm there to work, but I mean, get a couple of bits of what we're doing and what you guys are doing, more importantly, because that's what it's all about, right? It's raising awareness, it's showing people what you're doing, and also showing that the Biscuit's there to help as well. Like I just don't want to. I don't want people to be like, "Oh, it's just doing it for more Instagram followers," because that's not all the case. But I mean, at the same time, if we do get more followers on Instagram, it's also raising awareness about what we did anyway. So I don't know.
Exactly, yeah, and yeah, I'm sure you were speaking to me about this, and yeah, we'd love you to come along to one of our food shares maybe and see how that works. And
I would love that.
We've got an amazing group of volunteers from all different backgrounds that have amazing skills and reasons for why they're volunteering. So it'd be interesting to talk to them, I think, about why they do it.
With what you guys do, obviously this is the Shrewsbury Food Hub. Is this thing expanded across to different towns across Shropshire, even the UK even?
Yeah, so there's lots of different projects around the country and around the world, I suppose. There's brilliant Osnosh up in Oswestry. You should definitely talk to them. Yeah, it's so good. So there's Ben up there. He's a trained chef and he uses surplus food. He used to do community meals before the pandemic, but of course that had to change with people not being able to gather. And we used to do a community meal. Yeah, we used to do a joint one in Shrewsbury with him as well. And it was just so lovely. Like everyone was welcome to come along. We'd all muck in together, make a meal and share it with everybody. And yeah, so in the pandemic, he's up there and he's him and his volunteer team are delivering meals out to people who are isolating. And it's kind of like a Meals on Wheels service, but using surplus and local food. So there's people like him. There's Lee over in Telford. She does a food share project. That's a huge organisation that get surplus food from manufacturing level and share it with the community. They've got like a social supermarket over there. So once you start looking into it, I've been in this for like a couple of years now. It's amazing what people are doing. You can be inspired by it, and we're all, I think, we're the type of people who like to share ideas, and like if you've written something yourself, like a piece of policy or whatever, or like coronavirus policy, we'll share it with each other because it's easier to do that than reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, of course. I mean, like I've spoken to a few people who have come up with solutions during the pandemic, actually, that have thought better of sort of keeping it to themselves and just sort of shared it with people, just to make people's life. Because at the end of the day, I mean, if you've got a business, someone's got a business or a charity or doing something similar to yourself, it's good to keep that good vibe going. It's not good to keep it to yourself, and that's nice to hear. As community,
yeah, supporting each other, definitely.
Yeah, it's been a big drive. Have there been any challenges for you during COVID? I mean, obviously. There's not been. I mean, okay. So there was the panic buying. I bet that appalled you guys.
So yeah, it was quite interesting actually to see the result of the panic buying. So we closed, I think, for a week at the start of the pandemic. Purely because a lot of our volunteers had to isolate, and I think we went from about 100 volunteers to less than 30 within a day after the shutdown, and we had to think about how we can do it safely. So normally drivers collect in their own cars and then come to our depot, all pile in together. It's so lovely. Everyone would get the kettle on and we'd all sort the food in there together, but of course couldn't do that anymore because it would be mixing people. So we thought, well, what can we do? How can we collect the same amount of food with less vehicles and less people? So like we were talking about before, businesses and organisations supporting each other. We had people like Shrewsbury School and West Mid Showground and Crossbar and various different local contractors who lent us their vans and their time to come and help rescue the food. So nice. Kind of got the volunteer capacity sorted. But then, as you say, with the panic buying at the stores, we saw one week where we had hardly any food at all because everyone had been panic buying, which I suppose in one way we think, well, there's no waste, but then you think
Yes, there is.
Yeah, there's waste at home, and actually, just in general, apparently 50% of food wasted is in our homes. So although we point fingers at supermarkets, they're actually trying really hard to keep their waste down. It's not in their interest not to sell the food.
I think we've all been guilty of it at some point, buying mints that you've chucked in the back of the fridge and it's gone off now, can't use it. Everybody does it. I mean, that just happened on again.
Exactly.
When you're buying so much food and you're gathering so much that you can't eat them all before they go moldy. I mean, I do a show called The Weekly Bazaar where we found a story where some woman had gone out and spent ridiculous amounts of money at a supermarket, and before she could eat her food, she had a whole kitchen full of vegetables and stuff that had gone off, and had to throw it all out. And it was just randomly ended up in the newspaper. But I guarantee there's millions of families across the UK that did that, and it's heartless. It's really heartless, So it must have been hard for you guys to see.
It was quite so we had that week where we had hardly any food, and then the following week the supermarkets had obviously upped their supply chain to get loads of food in, but then of course no one was buying anymore because they'd already filled their houses full of food. So we had loads of food that week. So it's really interesting to see like the peaks and troughs. At the moment we're experiencing a bit of a peak in food because the stores clear out their shelves ready for their Christmas stock.
Yes.
We're already getting mince pies in, so it's really interesting to see the how everything links together in the food chain and in general. It is interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, so Christmas on the whole for you, without a pandemic. So so Christmas last year, what was that like for you? Because I imagine you just had too much food. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Paul Sansom, by the way, you may have seen I was just looking at my phone. I had to get Paul Sansom's name in because he's such an amazing guy, and I feel bad for forgetting his name. But I worked with him for so many years, and then he just doesn't come to us anymore. But so he would go out and fill up his van, proper big van, full of food. Some days he'd have 2 or 3 trays in there, but Christmas he would fill that van up. He would fill it up.
Oh my gosh, yeah, last year I've never seen so many parsnips in my life. The smell of parsnips is still lingering in my nose now. It's mad. Last year we rescued a usual month's worth of food in 4 days over Christmas. I remember Christmas Eve, I think we rescued about a ton of food that day. And even into January, like they're still pumping out all the ex-Christmas stock. So we rescued 4,000 mince pies in 1 day, and that's like 3 carloads full of mince pies. And obviously by that point everyone's sick of mince pies. They've had all of their panettone and Yule log to last them the year. So in January we have to make sure we're with the mince pies, we're pumping out recipes and different ways you can use them so people can actually use them up at the other end.
That's good because with food banks and food hubs, do you think it's just as important to offer the advice as well as the food for people to go with them? Because you just touched on that, offering recipes and interesting ways to use this food.
Yeah, so I think it's actually been really lovely. So part of the lockdown, the challenge we had is a lot of our groups that we normally serve, so we had 62 groups before the pandemic, had closed. So we're still getting all this food in, but then how on earth are we going to try and get it to people when people aren't gathering in the same way as they did? So we have these things called food shares, and they're open to everybody. Everyone's welcome to come along, help themselves to a bag of food, and to stop it going to waste. So we've set up, I think, an extra 6 of them since the start of the pandemic, and everyone's welcome to come along. I can't remember what track I was talking about now. We were talking
about sort of information. Information is just as important as giving out the food, sort of recipes, being inventive, basically.
Yeah, so what's happened with these food shares, it's been so lovely. So I work on the comms and like the social media and things like that for the Food Hub. And everyone's been sending us pictures of what they've been making. It's been really lovely. So they've had they've picked up a pepper and a coconut and whatever from the food shares. They've sent us a picture and they've ready, steady cooked it, and they've made up a curry, or someone's picked up some bread and they've made, there was a lovely one last week. There's a lady called Olivia, and she picked up some bread from food shares, and we get so much bread, it's ridiculous. And she'd made a huge vat of bread sauce, portioned it into boxes, and then given it out to her family and friends to freeze ready for Christmas. And I just thought, particularly now, isn't that like such a lovely thing? Although they can't all be together, they're all kind of eating the same food. And yeah, this surplus food makes really good opportunities for people. And I just love that idea of sharing ideas and helping each other stop food go to waste. I think it's brilliant.
There was There's a group that is open, massive, huge. I think there's like 500,000 people on there. Cooking Through COVID, I think it's called, on Facebook.
I didn't know about that one.
Yeah, Cooking Through COVID, and my co-host in America, Tom, he's a bit of a foodie. He was like, "Oh, look at this!" So I joined this group, and some of the food that these people cook are just amazing. I'm just like, "Oh yeah, I'll make bolognese. There you go. It's my bolognese." And obviously today's Thanksgiving in America, and one of the topics is obviously what do you do with your leftovers from Thanksgiving. I was joking. I was kind of like, blend it up, freeze it as ice cube, and chuck it at the pesky kids. Obviously there's obviously ways to look after leftovers, and it's good to have that kind of advice. I want to give a shout out as well. I don't know if you're aware of the SPHOA group. There's a little group that started on. It's called Shropshire People Helping One Another, and they're a really great bunch. And Dave, he started this group, he's been collecting like slow cookers. I think he's bought loads of slow cookers that he's going to go out and give to the Ark and stuff, because obviously slow cookers are a great way of keeping going. It's literally just everything that you need in a little pot. I want to give a shout out to those guys because they're fantastic group of people. I did reach out to them this morning and be like, yo, I need to do something for #USUK girls. Look how cool I am. Is there anything you can suggest? But yeah, give a shout out to them. Now with COVID, with what's going on, obviously there's been a lot of people that have been put in a lot of desperate situations. Have you seen a huge increase in users of food banks, food hubs across the county?
Yeah, we do. Particularly at the food shares, we come across people who are struggling, and of course, there's been an increase. We all know about it nationally, but what we try and do at the food shares and make sure people are signposted to places where they can get support, because there is loads of support out there. It's just knowing about it and having access to it. And although, as I said earlier, there's that really good website called the Shropshire Larder, where it's got lots of information. And of course, not everyone has access to the internet. So it's just making sure people that do have access to the internet know about that and can help those who don't. There's places like food banks, but also Shropshire Council are doing a lot in terms of advice and support and knowing where there's grants of money for people. So one of my main messages is just don't be scared to reach out, because there is the support out there.
Absolutely, there is. And what's the community like around you guys? Because obviously Facebook and the social media is great just to get people talking. Do you have a great community of people around you that offer you, there's this here and there's this here and there's these people here, and what's that like for you? Yeah,
I am in such privilege to have this job, because everyone that I come into contact is just full of kindness. Like, you just realise that people just get things done. Like our volunteers, as I said earlier, they come from all different skill sets and backgrounds. And if you have a problem, I ask them, and they know someone who knows someone. You know what Shrewsbury's like. It's they'll get the problem sorted. They'll get something fixed. And if there's someone that's struggling and needs some food on their doorstep, people will come and pick it up from our food shares and drop it off at their houses. It's been really nice, actually, that people have been coming along and saying, oh, I'm giving this to my elderly neighbour, she's isolating, and I'm going to do this with this. Like, we get loads of bunches of flowers from the supermarkets, which would have otherwise gone to waste. And there's this lady called Margaret. She normally runs a coffee morning for 100 elderly people, but of course that can't happen. So what we've been doing is dropping the flowers off on Margaret's doorstep, and she's been going around and checking in on all of those people that normally come to her coffee morning. So I think there's more kindness than not, really, and I think everyone has been looking out for each other, and hopefully it continues.
Yeah, I mean, it's there is so much negativity on social media at the moment, so it's really nice to see those good gestures. I think it's so heartwarming to see. It's like I just mentioned, the SPHOA group. It's just so nice to see everybody just, even on the slow days when they're not doing anything, because that's what they were doing at first. They were dropping food off to people, and if there was something running short in certain stores, they would just be like, "There's baby milk over here. Don't." They wouldn't encourage people to panic buy, but they'd be like, if you need nappies or something, they're here. And it's really good. But even on the slow days, they'll just share nice memes. Memes are life,
We can all do with a good meme.
Memes are life. You shared with me your newsletter that came through email. Do you want to talk about what you guys are doing at the moment? Because I think it's cool.
we've kind of done this 6 months of pandemic, and at the moment we're gearing up for the Christmas food sharing. So as you said, we get tons of food at Christmas, more than we ever get, and we need everyone's help to come and get it. And the logistics behind organising to get that food where it needs to be is quite a big task. So we've got a small group of paid staff at the Food Hub that do that alongside the volunteers, who are incredibly helpful in terms of organising and being where they need to be, and being ever available. It's really good. So over Christmas, we are hosting, I think, 10 food shares across the town. We'll be releasing the timetable soon. We do that throughout the year. And what we need to do is get everyone to come and help us stop the food going to waste. And if you are nervous about coming along, we have been operating throughout the pandemic, and we're very used to making sure everyone's distanced and making sure there's only a certain amount of people within the buildings. And of course, at Christmas, when there's likely to be more people there, we're paying particular attention to making sure those places are safe. So yeah, that's how people can help us out over Christmas. But as you mentioned earlier, there's also the carols on the doorstep.
Oh yeah, we can't forget about that. You've saved me a job and mentioned it at the end of the show. So yeah, let's talk about that.
Let's talk about that. Yeah. So that's been organised by My Shrewsbury and BBC Radio Shropshire and Shropshire Festivals, and they're supporting 4 local charities, including ourselves. And the idea is, on the 16th of December, everyone stands on their doorstep at 6 p.m. and sings their heart out along to Radio Shropshire. And there's like sheets of lyrics to print off, and little invitations, so you can make sure you're not the only one singing on your street, because no one wants to be that person.
I will be.
Yeah, we'll be singing our hearts out. So you can go on there, and if you take part, you can give a donation to one of those charities. So yeah, I think it's just such a nice idea, isn't it?
It really is. I keep comparing it to the Grinch, you know, when he steals Christmas and you can still hear them singing. I love that. We should replicate that.
Exactly.
The Grinch being COVID-19, of course. That's a metaphor there. So what's it like for you guys after Christmas then? Obviously, it's a mad rush. Must be a mad rush for, like, not even just a few days, of like every day must feel like an absolute challenge for you guys. So does it die down really quickly, or does it sort of peter out over January? Normally.
It peters out over January. So we were still getting panettone, I think, at Valentine's Day, and there is a bit of a chance to rest, though. We make sure we work hard over Christmas, and so do our volunteers. And yeah, we're just so grateful of everyone that's involved, because they're obviously taking time away from their families, and they could be doing other things. But there's an inherent enjoyment. It's really fun. Carting parsnips around and finding a home for them. So that's how we spend our Christmas. And then we have I'm looking to have a bit of a break in January, I think.
That was going to be my next question is, obviously with things like this, it's hard to switch off. I work in support, and my colleagues do it too. And I constantly see them looking for things on Facebook, or if there's something that somebody needs in where I work, they'll be looking for it, or, it's very hard to switch off. Do you have to force yourself, or sometimes you just like, laptops off, not thinking about Food Hub, I'm just doing what I do? And what do you do to sort of switch off and get away from it all?
It's maybe not it's quite related, actually. I really like growing vegetables. I really like gardening. Nice. So that's kind of how I got into doing the Food Hub. I realized the value of food and how long it takes to grow. Like, honestly, my proudest achievement of 2020 is my carrots, probably, that I grew this year. But yeah, going in the garden, being in nature, being out on my bike, just all the obvious things. But yeah, that's the way I switch off, because you can just think about it all the time. It's pretty exciting, and there's so much more we can do, and we still are going to do. So yeah, there's always stuff to be done.
What's the hardest time of year for you? Is it when it's quiet, or when it's busy?
I don't know. It's actually really good when the food shares are busy, because if you think about it, we rescue all this food, and then if we've got a mountain of bread, I think one day this year we rescued 50 trays of bread just from one store, and that is a lot of bread. And if we don't have the people coming to the food shares, then I don't know where that's going to go. I can't eat all of that bread. So it's always busy, and it keeps us going. And there's always random things that pop up. Like, for example, earlier on, the fire service had all this kind of there were like waterproof jackets and shoes and things like that they were going to throw away. And we were like, well, what on earth? Why are they giving it to the food hub? But it's because we've got this network and we can organise volunteers to get it out to where it needs to be rather than it going in the bin. So it's not just food we deal with. It's all the random requests that come from all sorts of places.
I never thought of that. That's a really good point, actually. Like, you got fingers in places where people might need to distribute things obviously. Is that like an isolated incident, or do you get lots of people that kind of like, we've got this thing and we need to your help,
Yeah, no, it's not an isolated incident at all. And in fact, the supermarkets also give us non-food stuff. So last week we had spider catchers that came in from one of the supermarkets. I've never seen a spider catcher before. And we've had lots of books. We ironically had a book about reducing waste the other day, which would have gone in the bin. But we thought, well, we'll give them out to schools. It's educational. So yeah, because we've got all these connections, we can say, who could do with this? And normally some of our partner groups, they'll say yes.
And I want to give out a shout out as well I've got this funny story from when I was younger. I worked at Asda and I worked on the produce department. I used to love it, right? It was proper ball breaking work as well. Okay, well, let's not be so vulgar, Alex. It was really hard, good work. I loved it. But they started training me on how to order in stock with the gun. You scan and then you put in how many you need. And I accidentally, with the mushrooms, you're only supposed to order like 1 or 2 trays, keep them going because mushrooms, they don't last brilliantly long. No. I accidentally ordered a whole cage full of mushrooms. Man, it was like, who ordered all these?
Oh, no.
He went back and saw my number on the thing. He said, Wiley!
And they start smelling all fishy when they grow off.
Yeah. I was like, you told me to do this. I told you I wasn't very good on this. It was just one of those things. It was
so people like you is why the food hub exists. Like, I'm sure that happens in all supermarkets. And like the other day, the bread from one supermarket ended up at another supermarket, and so it would have just gone in the bin. So we took it and made use of it. And if they overorder, say, for example, it's looking to be sunny at the weekend and everyone's planning, all the supermarkets are planning for barbecues, and then it rains, we get all of their burger buns and things like that. So it just gives the supermarkets a bit of flexibility for people like yourself who overorder. And
do you get given like a forecast sort of thing by the supermarkets of what they're expecting and sort of like what you could end up with? Do they speak with you? Because obviously this year nobody knows what to do with Christmas this year. We're not gonna have the big long table full of lots of meats and vegetables and loads of family crammed around, so it's unpredictable, I guess.
It is very unpredictable. We at this time of year we go around all the supermarkets. We've got good relationships with all of them, and asking what their plans are, when they're likely to have a peak of food. And we kind of look back over previous years of when we had peak food. So I think it was like the 27th of December last year we had loads. But then of course this year everyone's going to be doing Christmas in a different way. So I think that's a quality of the food hub, is that we're quite nimble and we're used to randomness. So we can just work out where those, turkeys can go if we do get thousands of them.
There's like a vast algorithm there, isn't there? Because you're working out what gathers more food. Lots of little individual Christmases or one big Christmas where everybody goes to one house. Like there's an algorithm there to.
I'm sure someone's done it somewhere. I'm sure that's what the supermarkets are doing.
I just I think what you guys are doing is amazing. I mean, the fact that a food bank and hub, obviously, and all of it across the board, even exists today, I think is fantastic, because you're giving back something to the community, literally directly giving something back to the community. It's not even a metaphor. And so I think, on behalf of like Shropshire, the UK, or whatever, but for Shrewsbury, I want to say thank you for all the good work that you guys do, because obviously these things don't just begin and then exist. There's lots of hard work that goes into it. So thank you on behalf of Shrewsbury for what you guys do.
Oh, well, thank you. I mean, it's a huge team effort. The whole of Shrewsbury and Shropshire are helping us out. So it just shows that communities working together, it's what makes things work, doesn't it?
Is there an unattainable golden goose for you guys? Is there something that you guys will be aspiring to do and not quite got there yet that you'd really like to do, or is it all just fallen into place?
Well, we've just got a walk-in freezer and chiller at our depot. because we have been collecting frozen and chilled food for quite a while, but we're really looking to up the scale of that because, as I said earlier, it's really valuable and we don't want it to go to waste. We know what the damage is to the environment by letting that high intensity carbon go to waste. So that's what we're looking to do over the next few years, is really increase that. And we've got the funding for a freezer van, so that'll enable us to get a lot more out to our community. So yeah, exciting times.
Very exciting times, and you guys are amazing. And after we finish recording this, we'll sit down and we'll write a date or a couple of dates for me to come and help volunteer.
Amazing, thank you, Alex.
For the good of the community, not for just for my podcast. Okay, I don't want people to think, "Oh, that guy's such an idiot." I worry too much. This is what I'm good at, I guess.
Oh, don't we all?
Is there any sort of shout outs you want to give out, or anything you want to tell people about before we get out of here?
Yeah, so keep an eye on our Facebook page, it's Shrewsbury Food Hub, and our Twitter, which is Shrews Food Hub, and that'll give everyone an idea of when our food share tables are going to be over Christmas, because we need everyone's help. As I said, I'm not sitting there eating all of those parsnips myself. So please come along. And lastly, thank you, Alex, for having us on, because really kind of you.
Oh, no. I'd love to get you on again. I'd love to find out. Let's do this again post-COVID. Let's find out how things have changed for you, how things have evolved. Because I like to have people come on reoccurring on the show just to catch up, touch base on what you guys are doing. Thank you so much for coming on. I want to give everybody a chance to check out our website, which is www.theshrewsburybiscuitpodcast.co.uk, and that's made for us by our friends at Web Orchard. It's a nice little website, actually. Got all of our audio on there. Did you know? There's many ways to listen to this show as well. Tell your friends about it. You don't just have to listen to it on Podbean. If Podbean annoys you and it's just another app on your phone, we are on Spotify, we're on iTunes, we're now on Alexa. You can just tell Alexa to play us on there, and then it will. Make sure you check that out. I also want to give a shout out to the parade. Obviously, we're not there at the moment with lockdown. I don't know if this episode's going to go out, but I think lockdown's. But I want to give a shout out to them anyway, because I love them. The parade shops in Shrewsbury. Thank you very much, Pippa. You've been amazing.
Thank you, Alex.
No, it's been great. We'll catch you guys on the Shrewsbury Biscuit next time. Peace out.